What's going on, YouTube? Welcome back to North Carolina Outdoors and Trucking. I'm going to do a review on my bow. This is my new bow setup for 2019. Bow's been out for a little while now. This is Mathews' flagship bow, the Mathews Vertix. Didn't think I was going to go back to shooting Mathews, but I decided to make the switch. I've been intrigued by all the good reviews about the Vertix, all the positive things I've heard outweighed the cons. So I went to my local bow dealer and shot one, and I fell in love with it. I mean, everything that I've heard positively about this bow, I'll personally say is true. No vibration, dead in the hand, 85% let off. I can hold this bow back all day, and quiet, whisper quiet, and I actually shoot this bow better than my prime. I shoot my prime really well, but I shoot this bow a lot better, I think. So without further ado, this is it, all black. This is my setup, 2019. It's deer season here. So I've got a, I'm gonna start from the bottom and work my way up with the accessories. Then I get into the details about the bow itself. I've got a Trophy Ridge stabilizer. I think this is 8-inch weights, and it comes in the package. I've got yellow for now, but it comes with these different color bands, and of course you can change the weight out and all that stuff. Wrist sling. I originally ordered the HHA Tetra fixed sight with the 1 5/8 housing, single pin. But I sent that back, and I ended up buying, when I went to go pick up this bow last week from the dealer, I ended up buying the HHA Tetra Tournament Edition sight. It's got the dovetail, extended dovetail, and it's adjustable. I'm not gonna move it now, but it's adjustable. I can slide it in and out as far as I want. And only thing I don't like, I wish it had the removable wheel, like the Kingpin it does, but this one doesn't. And also the mounting bracket's a little different on this, the Tournament Edition, than the regular Tetra. But didn't take me long to sight it in. I think it took me about 10 arrows to get it sighted in. From following the directions by HHA from 20 to 60 yards. Got my correct sight tape. Chronographed this bow. I'm shooting a, let me back up. So that's my sight. I will tell you now, I'm not too crazy about this wrist. So I think I'm going to be switching that out. When I ordered the bow, I made a mistake and told them Trophy Ridge wrist instead of Trophy Taker Smackdown Micro Adjust wrist. That's the one that I originally wanted. But I had that on another bow, so if I do decide to change it out, I can just take it off that bow and put it on this one. This Trophy Ridge has micro adjust, but I don't like it because it's got this little screw here that you can see sticking out, and that's supposed to be your micro adjust, but you have to loosen the main screw and unscrew this and then slide it. So basically what I did, I just took the screw out, unloosened the main bolt, and just slid it like a regular wrist without micro adjust. The way you would adjust it left and right, that's what I did. And I stuck the screw back in, tighten up the main screw, and stuck the small micro adjust screw, tighten that up against that so it doesn't move. But so far the rest has been doing pretty well. I've probably got about 200 arrows through this bow since I've had it. So I'm hoping my string is settled by now. My peep has been staying pretty straight. Same thing with my D loop. You can see that's pretty straight there. So getting back into it, I've got the tight spot quiver. This is the 5 arrow quiver. No, I take it back. This is a 7 arrow quiver. This one here, the one I have up here. My other one's a 5 arrow quiver. This is a 7 arrow quiver made by Tight Spot. Really love it. A lot of times I don't even think you can tell that you're shooting a bow if you have it adjusted right with a quiver on. I keep mine pretty close in, but I backed it out a little bit because of that micro adjust screw here. So I've got it slid back out just a tad bit. I didn't go with the dovetail sight that you can put up here. In the back of the Mathews, it's slotted out. It's got a dovetail back there, so you can mount your sight to the back of the rest there to make it, I guess, more stable and prevent it from having any kind of movement. But I didn't see myself spending almost $300, $250, $260 for that sight to mount back there when a regular sight mounted in the regular, I guess you call it burger hole here, or by the burger hole, would do the same thing. So that's just my opinion. But one thing that I did change, and this is my first time shooting them. I've heard about them a lot. I've actually watched the guys from Born and Raised Outdoors, their YouTube site, and one of the guy, I forget what the guy's name, but he shoots these arrows made by Day 6, and I'm shooting the Day 6 350 HDs. I will tell you, this is a solid arrow. This is a game changer, and since I started shooting these arrows, my groups have tightened up so much since I started shooting these arrows. I mean, even at 60 yards, I'm shooting probably 3.5 inch groups, and that's really good for me. That's excellent for me, I should say. I'm shooting about 3.5 inch groups at 60 yards with these arrows here. The other arrows that I was shooting prior for my Prime Synergy and my Elite Impulse 34, I'm shooting the Victory Pierce Platinums, Kinetic Pierce Platinums, I think that's what they're called. 9.1 grains for my Prime and 8.3 grains for my Elite. Those arrows shoot well. They're also 4-fletched, but they don't have any offset. This one has a slight offset, maybe a 1 degree offset. But like I said, no complaints. And this year, I'm trying out 3 different broadheads. I think the main one I'm going to go with, this is the Rage Trypan. As you can see, this has the red collar. This is one I stuck up there for my crossbow. The red collar is for crossbows. The gray collars are for compound bows. But I think they'll both do the same thing, shooting them out of a bow. But I've heard a lot of good things about these heads: accuracy, tough, and penetration. I'm also trying the Silver 1.5 titanium broadheads, and I also have the Rage no collar. I'm shooting those out of my crossbow, and I can also shoot those out of here too. They fit this arrow here, but I'm shooting those out of my crossbow. And I have the QAD Exodus that I'm shooting out of my Impulse 34, the swept-back version. And for my Prime Synergy, I'm shooting the Kudu 100 grain, all 100 grain broadheads. But this arrow has been a game changer for me. It's got aluminum collar, it's got an insert, aluminum collar. This aluminum insert and collar together is another 100 grains. Not including my 100 grain field tip, broadhead, or field tip, whichever one you have up there. So all together, I've got pretty good FOC on this arrow here, and this arrow is weighing in at 478.4 grains. Heaviest hunting arrow I've ever shot. I'm usually anywhere between 415 and about 430. But this year I decided to beef it up a little bit. Yes, I'm getting a slower speed, but I'm shooting a smaller diameter arrow. The way this arrow is made, it's micro diameter, but it's got a thick wall. So it'll have if you look at another micro diameter arrow from the front and look at this one, you'll see how much thicker the wall is in here. So that's why I went with a heavier FOC to kind of break up the spine a little bit, which I'm spined perfectly for this bow here. This is a 350. I've got a short draw length, so that's why I went with the 100 grain in total insert and collar up front to kind of weaken that spine just a little bit, so I'm not over spined. So the arrow can paradox the way it's supposed to correctly. But like I said, shooting it with this Mathews Vertix, I'm very pleased. Like I said, my groups have tightened up so much. I haven't shot past 60, so I haven't had a chance to do that yet. I'm going to try that sometime this week here coming up. But sighting it in to 20 to 60 and just shooting at 60. Like I said, I'm shooting 3.5 inch groups at about 60 yards with this arrow here. With my Victory, not my Victory, but my gold tip kinetic platinums. I think I was probably shooting about a baseball size group, so which wasn't too bad, but this is a lot smaller grouping at 60 yards than what I was shooting with out of either bow, either out of my prime or my elite impulse. I'm actually shooting better accuracy in a tighter group, shooting my prime with the kudos up there, which I guess just the way the kudos are made. It's a fixed bar head. It's only got 2 cutting surfaces, but it's beveled. So I think that might have a difference. Surprisingly, I thought the Exodus, I have the swept-back version, I thought those would shoot better, be a little bit more accurate. But with that 2-blade, I'm getting better accuracy, and my groups are better. So just slightly better with that. One thing I did realize, shooting at 60 yards, my groups are better, but I'm going to take the accuracy part back because I'm shooting just a little bit low right, about 2 inches low right at 60 yards, and the Exodus are probably about an inch off from my aiming point. So, but that did surprise me. But I'm actually shooting a tighter group at a closer distance with the 2-blade than I am with the Exodus for some reason. I don't know why that is. I couldn't tell you. I'm thinking that the arrow stabilizing faster with the kudu. Maybe that has something to do with it than the Exodus. I don't know. But getting back to the Mathews, a lot of people haven't heard of this this brand of arrow. I've only heard of it from watching the Born and Raised Outdoor videos. It's called Day 6. Look up Day 6 arrows if you're interested. I've got the 350 spine. So this is a 10.2 grain arrow. And then, of course, with all the other accessories, the nock and fletchings, the insert and the outside collar, that's 100 grains, and then I have a 100 grain head up here. So, like I said, I'm shooting a total of 478.4 grains, and all of my arrows are within half a grain. That's how accurate these are. So I'm told that every arrow is spin tested, and the spine is checked before they're shipped off, and I believe it because the only thing I did was cut to length, put on the insert the insert in the outside sleeve, broadhead, spin test, and fill point spin test, and put on the broadhead spin test. They all spun true. That's it. Didn't have to cut from the back or anything. This is just the way I received it. Only cutting I did was from the front, and I'm getting that kind of accuracy and penetration. Maximum penetration. A lot better penetration with this than I am with my gold tips. And the gold tips also have an outside collar on them too. Sleeve. Outside sleeve, aluminum sleeve. This comes with you can either get aluminum setup or you can get the steel setup. So what I mean by that, steel insert and steel collar, or aluminum insert and aluminum collar. I've got the aluminum insert and aluminum collar for this right here. But getting back to my Mathews, one person that I've watched, whose videos I've watched over and over again, was the Iceman John Bailey. So I got to give props to him. Watching his videos really put me on to the Vertix. A lot of the videos that I saw on the Vertix are kind of short, couple minutes, but his was kind of in depth, and I like the way he described the Vertix, the way it's shot, and how it felt in the hand, and all that stuff. And it's true. And I do like this grip, even though it took me a little while to get used to. It is kind of tacky, a little bit tacky in the back. But what I do like about the grip, I can get so much higher up in the shelf here, the handle, than I can with my other bows. So once I grip the bow, I just let it settle down in my hand, and I'm on it every time. I mean, like I said, there's no shock, there's no leaning, rocking forward or anything. I mean, it's just perfectly balanced when I shoot. I guess I got the right stabilizer with the correct amount of weight on it. No hand shock at all. People say they complain this is a heavy bow. It's I think 4.6 pounds if I'm not mistaken, but I cannot tell that it's 4.6 pounds. I questioned that when I picked it up from the dealership, and they did weigh it, and it came in around 4.6 pounds. I don't know if I told you about the rest. I'm shooting the Wise Guy. Excellent. I've got 2 of these. First time shooting a Fang type rest, and this has. When I read the reviews about people saying that this rest improved the accuracy, I believe it because it has truly improved my accuracy. It's changed my ankle point a little bit, but it has totally improved the way that I shoot a bow, compound bow now. Accuracy is so much more. It's spot on with this right here. Like I said, I've got 2 of these. So getting back to this Vertix, I'm just going to read up some specs here. It's available in 60, 65, 70, and 75 pound peak weights, which means when you get this bow, these limbs are going to be maxed down when you get them. 60 pounds, 65, 70 pounds, they're going to be maxed down. But you can buy modules to change the actual draw weight and different let off also. So if I have a 60 pound bow, but I want to go up to 65 pounds, only thing I have to do is instead of screwing it out, because the bow is more efficient at its peak weight. So if this was a 60 pound bow, I can buy the modules and have those put on, and I just went to from 60 to 65 without even having to mess with the boat and my limbs. Like I said, it's already maxed down. So the boat's as far in as it can go, max weight. So you're probably a little over, maybe 61 pounds. So I can get those modules, put those modules on. So instead of shooting 60, I'm shooting 65. The downside to that is I don't think most people have 2 different sets of arrows. So that's going to change your arrows. It's probably going to change the tune of your bow a little bit. So if you have another set of arrows, and it's going to change your sight. All right. So, for instance, with this bow here, when I sighted this in, I had to use sight tape 65, I think it was, if I'm not mistaken. So if I went from 70 to 75 pounds, then I'm going to have to put on a different sight tape because it's not going to be sighted in the same. I'm going to be shooting a faster arrow, so that's going to change my sight. It might change the tune of my bow. I don't know. I haven't heard anybody say anything about it changing the tune of the bow by going to a heavier draw weight using the modules, but I'm pretty sure it would. And it might also affect the spine of the arrow, so that might be something else you might have to consider too. So usually with my arrows, I tend to lean towards the heavier side. I like shooting 70 pounds. I think I'm going to get the modules to go up to 75. I think I'm at about 71 now. I think about 71 and a half maybe. So I think I am going to move up to the 75 pound module and see. I don't think it's going to throw me off terribly. Right now with this bow, with this setup, shooting a 478.4 grain arrow, I'm getting 265 feet per second, which isn't bad for, I've only got a 27-inch draw length. So 265, shooting almost not too far from the 500 grain arrow, not bad at all. So 478.4 grains, and I'm getting 265 with a 27-inch draw length. This grip I was telling you about, it's got the tackiness on the back. It's called the Engage grip. I think it's made perfect. Your hand settles right into it once you put your hand on the bow. That's how I felt when I first picked up the bow. I'm like, I'm going to have to get used to this because this grip is totally different from my Prime or my Elite, and my hand doesn't settle in as quick. But with this, I mean, it settles right in once I grip the bow. No vibration, so I'm pretty sure that this has a lot to do with it. This dampener up front, along with this